Hey there, Internet. It's me, Broken Terrain, and I am bringing you a fantastic video today. One of my all-time favorite projects. It's part 2 of my owl house build. And you'll see I was sticking incredibly close to the original design in part 1. But in part 2, I decided to flock it my way, in my style, using the standard greens instead of the reds you see in the cartoon. However, still paying homage to those reds when I'm painting the stone and doing the flowered vines. I can't wait to show you after the drop. In part 1, I tackled the house itself, and then I had talked about lighting it up. And so that was part 1, getting the house figured out, cut out, textured, placed down on a base that was the size we needed to fit the area. Do I call her the client? Yeah, sure. The client, my friend, wanted this to be a certain size to fit in a certain place in her home. And so using those measurements, I created the base, created the house, and then ran the lighting inside. However, if you're familiar with the owl house and its design, what you need next is the tower. It's just about as large as the house itself. And so I got to work. 5-inch diameter circles cut out of 2-inch XPS foam. I split those in half, so I end up with 4 5-inch by 1-inch circles, and then using a piece of dollar store foam core with both sides of the paper off, and on one side a brick texture, I simply glue and roll the XPS foam around my circles, and this is going to form the tower. And in hindsight, I should be really impressed with this technique. It created a really good tower really quickly, and if you were to be careful as to where to glue those circles, you're instantly putting in floors. So I expect to see that technique revisited at some point. Once that was wrapped around and glued securely, I did a 2-piece top, and there's a circle cut out where the top of the tower has been blasted away. My friend alluded to a possible bit of lore that the tower used to hold the eye of the home, and she asked that if it was possible to make that circle the size of the eye in the home. And I just want to confirm that I in fact did that. So that could in fact be where the eye used to be before the house was formed. With the tower completed, it's time to do the arrow slits. The tower coming off the house had some too, and I waited until this time because I wanted to do all of them at once. It worked out really well. Then it was time to coat the tower in that black paint, matte Mod Podge combination. Get yourself a nice black base coat to then paint off of, and then that matte Mod Podge is going to harden, strengthen the foam, and just make it a bit sturdier a material there. Once the tower is glued down, I use the foam mousse to fill in the cracks, go back over everything with that mixture of black paint and matte Mod Podge. I'm going to hit my grays, so the stonework of the tower, the stonework of the cliffs and stairs with an elephant gray, and then I go in with different grays of varying shades and values and pick out lots of individual bricks. I didn't get this on camera, and at this point I start just doing things off camera because the piece itself is so difficult to manipulate and it's hard to show you any kind of details. So just bear with me. This is a bit less than instructional and just a sharing of the process. Here's where I make the that stone red. I use 2 different red colors and a nice honey brown, kind of a red brown, and I use the 3 colors around that stonework. I'm going to replace the red flock from the cartoon references with a green, a standard green, but I wanted to maintain that reddish feel, that reddish look. I'm going to do that by applying this this spongy technique with these red colors to my red cliffs. Then it's going back in and it's painting the details, all the details that I've missed, little bricks from the chimney itself. I'll go in and do individual tiles on the roof, shingles on the roof, just go back over. This piece is so large, you kind of have to do things in pieces. So as you paint one thing, you mess up a paint on another, and then you have to pull the old colors back out. And eventually I got everything to the point where it was time to move on, time to add some washes and really start getting that depth and texture. This is this step here is where I actually committed to painting it in my style. In the cartoon references, the white walls are white. There's no question about it. They're bright and they're white, but my style of kind of a textured wall is more of that classic brown with white highlights. So I hit my walls with a brown wash and decided that there was no turning back. I was going to do this whole project in my paint style. I'm going to use my black wash for all of the stonework and wood. I'll do the roof, the tower, the cliffs themselves. Everything gets a wash. It's either brown for these white walls or it's black wash for everything else. Once dry, I'm going to take the vanilla white that I used to paint the walls initially. I'm just going to go back over those walls and hit it with a nice heavy dry brush. That's going to lighten the walls back up, at least on the raised surfaces and parts, but it's going to allow all that depth of color that brown wash gives you and really sell that these are those old-fashioned kind of stucco walls. I love the effect. After a Mississippi mud on the groundwork, it's time to grab your white PVA glue and then just cover the whole area, brush it on nice and thick, and then I'm going to take my green flock and then just pour it all over. I want the Alwich to have a nice lush lawn. And I'll tell you, making it nice and lush and green around this whole darn thing wasn't particularly easy. There was so much to cover, and that little passageway, that narrow passageway between the tower and the house, and just all the nooks and crannies. But boy, it was fun to do. Don't forget that battery cover. I want to flock it similar to where it is on the board itself, so that it's nice and hidden, and you only kind of know where it is if you knew where it was. Once that glue's dry, I'm going to go back in with a watered down PVA and just carefully give everything a nice gluing. You don't want anything flaking off while you're moving the piece around, particularly if you're making it for someone else. You know, I might skip a corner or two if the project's for myself, but knowing that it's for someone else, you got to make sure that you get that flock glued down really well. And then once that's dry, it's time to flock it again. I'm going to do my static grass, a combination of green and light green, something like that. It looks good. It's a nice, colorful spring-summer blend, and I think it looks fantastic on the glued down turf. I'm not very good at using static grass, and I didn't feel like this was the time to experiment and try to finally get my static applicator working. So instead I just poured it down and kind of stood it up with my hand, brushed it around as though it were like somebody's hair. And just got as much of it to stand up as possible, while some of it being patted down looks pretty good anyway. It ends up looking really good, and I'm really happy with the effect. Now the owl house itself has a couple of really distinct flower pots or settings for flowers. There's a spot on the back where it has this big, bushy, fluffy yellow flower pouring out of a flower pot. And I found these yellow pom-poms on sale that absolutely do the trick. I'm going to use them on the side tower of the house as well. for a similar looking plant. And then on the tower, it has red moss going up on the cartoon references, but I thought it'd be really cool to stick with my twists on the landscaping and the flock, that if I did vine work up the sides of the tower, and instead of that red moss, I did red flowers. So that's ultimately what I ended up doing for the tower. And then I grabbed this bit of lichen, different colors, and just started grabbing pieces off, colors according to the reference. So where I could, if it was purple, I tried to keep it purple. If it was yellow, I tried to keep it yellow. And at other points, I tried to work in some other colors because I really wanted this to be a very colorful, beautiful piece. And when you're doing this kind of flocking for a witch's hut, essentially, yes, it's amazing to put in all the fun plants and things, to think of the potions and herbs and salves that this witch might be making inside her wonderful home. So I just had an absolute blast doing all the little plants. In the reference, there's a couple little pots in these two front windows. I don't know how I pulled off getting one in that top tiny window, but I nailed it, and I'm just pumped. And you've seen a lot of these techniques before in my previous videos, and if you're not sure how I did something, please look at my catalog. I've got tons of stuff, and everything I've done in this project I've done before, basically, in other videos. So if you want another look at something, please look at my back catalog. But this part here in particular is maybe my proudest of this whole piece. I recreated her wind chime. I used green floral wire. I bent the ends into little eyelets so that it kind of stuck with a friction into the hollowed out plastic Q-tips with a little super glue. You push it in, it holds firm. You cut the Q-tip on an angle, and it looks like you have the little chime. According to the reference, it looked like it was a 5 chime, wind chime. So I did 5, each wind chime at a slightly longer length than the one previous. So all 5 are just slightly different. And then I took a little circle woodsy and very carefully poking a hole through the middle, and then at 5 points, like a 5-pointed star along the circle, so that I could then feed the floral wire connected to the Q-tip made chimes through. And this would be the base of the wind chime. It took a little finger work, but I got it through. Lines up nice. A little super glue. Twist and shout to get it to stick just right. With one chime down, it's time to move on to the second, third, fourth, and fifth chimes. Each one gets a little bit harder because you've got an assembly started. So this time I've got to get this chime worked in, but I've already got one, and I'm trying not to disturb it. Now I have 2, and it's even harder to get this one started. You get the point. With all 5 done, it's time to glue them in place. And then I'm going to go in with my clippers, clip the excess wire on the top, and then I'm going to dab a little glue in those spots just to kind of hold everything in place. But everything's so tight and friction held, the glue is just to kind of add a little security. At this point, I can't believe it how fantastic this wind chime has turned out. I'm absolutely pumped. We're going to do the same thing with the middle. I twist the wire into a little loop or an eyelet, and I'm going to feed that into the middle of the wind chime's bell. Once I get it to fit just right, I'm going to glue it in place, and then I'm going to feed that middle wire up into the middle of the circle. And this is even more difficult than all the chimes, clearly. But once I get it up there, I'm going to glue it into place, and then I'm going to add a bead onto the end of it. And I have my finished wind chime. I was so happy with how it turned out. I'm taking pictures of it, sending it to the wife. I'm running it down the hall to show my daughter. Here it is, primed up in black. Once painted, I hang it up on the corner of the roof, and here it is with the reference shot for comparison. Even with the plants, I think I frickin' nailed it. I'm so pumped. Now with all the flocking done, flowers planted, grass growing, bushes in, it's time to glue everything down. I'm gonna mix some glue, white glue, in with a mostly water bottle to squirt it all over the place. Now that it's dry, it's ready to show off, and I love it. And I hope you do too. More importantly, I hope my friend likes it. I think I underestimated how big a fan she was. But that being said, she's a great friend, and so I set out from the very start to do the best job I could for her, and I really hope that she likes what I've done. Here it is with the lights on, the little lantern in front beaming, the curtain drawn. I love it. What a beautiful piece. And I hope you've enjoyed watching the video and watching the piece come to life. If you do, please smash that like button. It really helps me out. It helps the video out, and it lets YouTube know that people like this video and other people will like to, and want to see it. So please hit that like button. And if you like this kind of content, hey, hit subscribe so I can keep bringing it to you, because I'd love for you to see more of my work. If you want to help me out, or if you think I did a great job in this video in particular, there's a super thanks button, and I would really appreciate it. And if you want to help me out in the long term, I've opened up memberships. I've got some fun little emotes and symbols for chat, and at the second tier you can get a copy of my pen and paper RPG The Broken. It's fantastic, and I think you'll like it too. Thank you so much for watching. As always, like each other, love each other, and craft on. And I'm just going to end the video with some beauty shots of this wonderful piece. Have an absolutely magical day. Goodbye, everybody. Until next video.